Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show. Predictions for match week 28 are upon us. Big show for us this evening. Looking forward to getting stuck into that loads of good footy games for us to enjoy. It'd be remiss of me if I didn't have the opportunity to state and do a little bit of reflection on what's happened this midweek. Mark, and obviously joined by your fine self this evening, where you are in Blighty as well. We're in the same country. Very rare that this happens, but how are you, and what are your reflections and thoughts on the last two evenings of DFB Pokal action?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's obviously good to be back on the green and pleasant land of England, as they say. Yeah, and it's weird to do a show when it's still light in the evening as well, because normally in Germany, it kind of, first of all, it's an hour further forward there, and it's normally dark quite a bit earlier there, even, with the way things work in further south and stuff. But yeah, as for the Pokal, I mean, what a midweek, what a midweek, really. Like, obviously, first of all, we've got to give congratulations to one of our former teams that we used to cover, Arminia Bielefeld, who, it's great to be covering them in a more positive light again after 2 or 3 shocking years. But, it just proves at the end of such a bad run, there is still light at the end of the tunnel. And now they've gone on to be world beaters, really, haven't they? And, I mean, there's a great chance, that they could win the title. Like, who's to say no? I mean, it's going to be hard for them against Stuttgart, who were fantastic last night in dismantling RB Leipzig, really. And our only correct prediction, Rory, I think both of us went for the VfB to get through, but I was impressed with the performance. They played well. I thought they were well worthy of the victory. And it's going to be a really interesting final. Obviously, the German news was saying, 2 traditional clubs in the final, which is great to see. There's a lot of celebration in Germany with the 2 results, actually, this weekend. This midweek, I should say. So, yeah, it's been a great kind of curtain raiser for this weekend's Bundesliga action, hasn't it?
It's got the juices flowing, I think it's fair to say. An amazing 2 nights. I think, like you say, we absolutely give congrats to Bielefeld, the team that we covered, obviously, on this show. A team that's unfortunately gone through 2 relegations in a row. But this Pokal run has been extraordinary. It really has. And that's why we love the Pokal. An awesome competition. A competition that we don't always cover in loads of depth. We've done watch alongs for it before and review shows, but obviously because we have so many different shows covering the Bundesliga. But yeah, awesome semi-finals and a great final to look forward to. I greatly look forward to it with my VfB hat on. But yeah, equally for Bielefeld, it's been an amazing run. Say howdy to you too, DM. Hope you're doing well. And so, yeah, enough reflection on what has happened this week, although it was absolutely very special for 2 teams involved. We now look forward to, match week 28 of the Bundesliga, some big games in around relegation, title race, European race. It's still all on the line. Let's just get straight into it. Obviously, if you can, find it in your hearts to leave us a like on this video. Comment along, leave your predictions. That would be awesome as well. So Friday night footy, Mark, we've got a Bavarian derby on our hands. Augsburg and Bayern. One of the form teams of the league are your Bavarian brothers right now. They've been so good. They've turned their season right around. Obviously, the goals that they now are not conceding is absolutely awesome. Their defensive efforts, by the entire back line, including the amazing Finn Darman, who's obviously created that record in recent times. This is a game that you really have to pinpoint and say this is a real big challenge for the current league leaders, with their form in the league being a bit suspect. Obviously, one loss, 1 draw, and 1 win in the last 3. They've openly conceded goals. and the injury worries are absolutely clear and out there for us to see. So I fancy a Friday night shock if we're saying it's a shock, but I don't quite think Augsburg will get the W. But I'm going to lock in a 1-1 draw. Maybe not as many goals if Augsburg can defend as well as they have been doing recently. Mark, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, this for me is one of the hardest ones to tip of the weekend. It really is. I mean, obviously the Bavarian derby, Augsburg just give nothing away, do they? It's just so hard to score against them right now. And even the goal they conceded last week was that farce of a penalty, basically. And if it wasn't for that, they probably got another clean sheet under the belt,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it really is tough. And obviously with the fact that Bayern have lost players as well, it seems like every game there's a different man limping out at the minute. But I think the advantage for Bayern is that none of them are strikers, and they are probably going to need the forwards more in this game.
Yeah.
I think Augsburg will probably be happy with a draw, definitely. I think they'll be happy to extend, that unbeaten run to 12 games and remain in the top 2, 3 form teams in the league. But I've just got a feeling that Bayern are going to really respect their Bavarian brothers in this game. I just feel as though Augsburg are being talked about all over Europe at the minute. Nobody can believe how good that defense is right now. So I think normally when Bayern respect a team, it's not good news for the opponent, to be honest. I've just got a funny feeling that they will show up in this game, even though they've got Inter Milan coming up. And as you say, if they do drop points, and with Leverkusen with a presentable fixture, I mean, the title race is right back on. Even if it's just a point, I mean, at 4 points clear, you couldn't say it's over by any means at this stage. So for me, Bayern will get the win. I think it's going to be tight, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. But it should be a good game. Maybe not loads of goals, but I think Augsburg will definitely be more than competitive in this one.
Yeah.
So we'll go on. We'll put your 1-1 draw though, Rory, just to make things interesting.
We'll be optimistic in that sense. And Anthony's absolutely right. Yeah, Augsburg have a strong defence, indeed.
Definitely.
So lead us on for Saturday afternoon.
So a game between two company clubs. You could argue that it's Red Bull against SAP Software, but basically this is a game with two teams that are not really performing. Let's be honest. I mean, neither have had good seasons this year. RB Leipzig's poor season became catastrophic, really, with the defeat against Stuttgart, and now only Champions League qualification can probably avoid what would, for me, be their worst season since they got back. Well, they got in the Bundesliga for the first time, really. Yeah. I think unless they can get top 4, I mean, they've been consistently qualifying for the Champions League for the last decade, really, now. When they first came up, I think, when was it? 15, 16, around about that time. So, I think Leipzig really need a win. Obviously, Zolt Löw definitely didn't make a good impact start. I thought they were poor, to be honest, against Stuttgart, and they were overran in periods. Obviously, the fact that Šeško got a goal will be a bonus for them, but, I mean, it's not saying much, really. As for Hoffenheim, they've not been bad of late, to be honest. They've had a poor season overall, but in general, they've been okay of late, I would say. And they did win, actually. This was obviously Ilter's first game. Let's not forget that, in that thrilling 4-3 match. I think, didn't they come back from 3-1 down or something in that one?
They were down,
I mean, it was a great match. Probably one of few, bright sparks in Hoffenheim's relatively dismal season. But I've just got a feeling that Leipzig have got to show up in this game. They really have. I mean, if they don't win this, it's as good as over, to be honest, Champions League, I think. So I am going to go for a 3-1 home win here, Rory. What are you going for?
I fully agree. I was thinking 3-1. So we'll be able to lock that in. Just the same sort of situation, really, with the new head coach. Things didn't, go to plan last night. But let's be honest, Nubel did, perform very well with some big chances for Leipzig in that sense. I still think that Stuttgart were absolutely excellent, but you can't say that Nubel, didn't make big saves at times. So with that chance creation that I expect Leipzig to have, and the pressure is there. They have to win from getting into the Champions League sense. I think they'll rock up and secure a 3-1 victory. So let's lock that one in. Then back to title race chat. Heidenheim hosting Leverkusen. I mean, if we're talking about title races, obviously on paper a good fixture for Leverkusen. But all the narrative around this game now, it really is quite interesting. Heidenheim's recent uplift in form, they found some belief, they found some form, they found some quality in the box. Pieringer, that penalty box strike has done some good stuff. Zivadze has turned up for a few games. And Leverkusen on the other side of it have been, handed the ultimate embarrassment. They've been, like three other Bundesliga teams before them. It has to be said they're not the only team that Bielefeld have beaten, but these are the German champions, and Bielefeld did them. In what Leverkusen fans would have assumed at least we're going to get one trophy this season again. And that's gone now. So they have to react. And I'm intrigued to see how well they do react. We saw all the kind of social media clips of Granit Xhaka having an exchange with the ultras as well, didn't we? So that was quite interesting. So all's not, as it wouldn't be after a big semi-final shock loss. So it's not great in the Leverkusen camp. All that said, I do think they get over the line, but I think it will be tight. So I would say 2-1 away win for Leverkusen. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, Rory, if we were doing this on Monday night, I think we'd all have gone for an away banker really in this one. But it definitely creates pressure. And, overall, it's been a poor couple of months really for Leverkusen, hasn't it? I mean, obviously that embarrassment in the Champions League and then the embarrassment on Tuesday night. And obviously league performances have been relatively steady, but they did have that disappointing defeat against Werder Bremen as well in there as well. Generally, they're still unbeaten away from home in the league since May 2023, but not domestically anymore. So they will be hoping to hold that record away from home, at least in the league. As for Heidenheim, they've been really good recently. Nobody can doubt that they deserve the 7-point haul over the last 3 games. And all of a sudden, you're starting to think that they could stay up, and they might fancy this. I think they'll fancy Leverkusen, who look in a little bit of trouble. And actually, the ultras got a bit of stick in the German kind of fan scene for the reaction against Bielefeld because this team has given them so much joy, and I mean they really kind of gave them a rollicking after that one, didn't they? I mean, in one way or side you could say they deserve it, but at the same time, this is the team that's made them dream, basically. So it could be a bit of an overreaction in some ways from them. So I think they will be back on side for this game because they're still in a title race, especially if Bayern don't win that game on Friday night. I mean, they've got to sense blood because Bayern have still got some hard games to play yet. So I am going to go for an away win here, and I think it's going to be a 3-1. I think they will bounce back and win relatively comfortably in this one. So, moving on to probably one of the games of the weekend, really, a fixture which is always quite well enjoyed between two traditional German clubs, Freiburg and Dortmund. And I mean, Freiburg still having a good season overall, but obviously they have dropped off a little bit in recent weeks. I wouldn't say particularly performance-wise. I thought they weren't terrible last week against Union, but they ran into an improving Union side who really kind of did a number and had the tactics spot on. As for Dortmund, I think obviously they also had a really good result last week too. They're one of their best league performances of the season, really, against Mainz. But I think a lot of people are going to be saying, are they going to be really focused on this game? Because obviously with the Champions League quarter-final coming up against Barcelona next week, and there have already been talks of the likes of Niklas Süle is going to get a go in this game. So we could potentially see rotations. Although, to be honest with Dortmund, we've seen rotations all season, so it's never quite sure what kind of team's going to turn up for them. But given the inconsistency of Dortmund, I don't think they're going to get the win here. I just can't back them to win back-to-back league games, to be honest. But I think they'll get a point, but they'll still be hoping to win this one. But I'm going to go for a relatively entertaining 2-2 draw in this one.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. I can get on board with that. As you say, Dortmund in the league are very, very unpredictable. Their away form is absolute trash. they've got a few injury worries, I think, ahead of this one. I think Girassi is almost back. So whether he starts or is used as a sub, that's one to look out for. Maybe, Maxi Bayer gets the spotlight again, gets another chance to impress. Freiburg, as you say, results have dropped off. We've always said it, how Freiburg ultimately rely on their strong set piece play and corners, crosses, and use their creative players to do that. But when teams defend that well, obviously that's where their goals dry up, and their goals have dried up. Apart from that Werder 5-0 thrashing. So yeah, I think this game could be something that they get a bit of joy from. So I'd agree. I think it probably will be a draw, and I'll also agree on 2-2 because it'd be nice to have an entertaining game between these two for sure. So let's move on to another Saturday afternoon game. Mainz hosting Holstein Kiel. The home side obviously will want to bounce back after their defeat to Dortmund last week. They'll be very excited to be back in front of their home crowd. Obviously where they're very strong. Kiel, on the other hand, desperate situation for them now. They need wins. They need them yesterday. So it's not looking good, unfortunately, for the Northerners. And I can't see too much joy for them in this one. Whichever way round, maybe that they kind of approach the game, whether they try and attack Mainz or kind of sit back in a shape. You feel that Mainz have the quality to unlock them and make the most of goal threats and opportunities in that sense, which was missing ultimately against Dortmund, especially in the final third. That that last pass just didn't work out for them. But I'd be happy to say a 3. Kiel always score away from home, though, don't they? I'll go 3-1. I was about to say 3-0, but I want Kiel to keep that record at the very least. So, yeah, Mark, what are we saying?
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting game as well, because obviously with the fact that Mainz lost last week, I mean, there's pressure for them to bounce back here because, if they want to get that Champions League, which probably before last week you would have said looked pretty likely, but after that defeat, there will be a few question marks. But as I say, I don't think there was anything really wrong with the performance as such. For Kiel, there is things wrong with the performance. That's the problem. And I think they've been really desperately poor the last 2 games. And to be honest, there's a big level of the writings on the wall for them, to be honest, now after a battling season. So, the likes of Johnny B is going to look to, add to his 15 goals in this game. And, Lee is really on form as well at the minute. He's going to cause problems against his former club. Let's not forget, Lee did come from Holstein Kiel as well initially, 3-4 years ago now. So I do think Mainz will get over the line, but I don't think it'll be too easy. But I actually think, unfortunately, against this strong Mainz defence, and from what I've seen recently, that Kiel's scoring run will come to an end away from home. I think we're going to see a 2-0 Mainz win here. For me. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, you're leading on the next one. Let me scroll down and get these next 4 games on screen for us all.
And it's a good looking game as well, and I'm quite looking forward to this one. Bochum and VfB Stuttgart. I feel as though, I mean, again, games results change teams, don't they? I mean, probably a week ago you'd have said Stuttgart would have been struggling in this game, but after a strong performance against Leipzig, where they really look back to the best going forward, you're starting to think, Bochum could be in trouble again. But Bochum, I think, in defeat have been pretty good in the last couple of weeks. And let's not forget, they've had this really rough run of fixtures where they started with Bayern, Frankfurt, and then obviously Leverkusen and now Stuttgart. I mean, I remember we talked about this in the Hinrunde as well, didn't we? But they are coming to the end of that fixture with this match, and they'll probably see this as the most winnable of those 4, in truth. For Stuttgart, obviously, they will be buoyant after the win, and a win here would put them back in minimum Europa League contention. I think for Champions League contention, they'd need a few results to go their way. But as a result, I think the 2 teams will probably settle on a point here. I've gone for a 1-1 draw, but it's a pretty hard one to predict. But I'm going to go 1-1 here.
Yeah, no, very fair. kind of exactly what Anthony's referring to in the comments. Yeah, maybe Bochum can snatch a point. I think this is a really tough game for Stuttgart. Either way around, in regards to how the result would have gone last night. I think if you're VfB player, coach, fan, whatever, you've got to be thinking the momentum has to carry, because at the end of the day, the Pokal's parked now. You don't have to think about it until, what was it, well into the middle of May, isn't it?
24th it's the
of
end. I think it's the 25th of May, like the 24th or the 25th is back end of May, I think. Yeah. So they can fully focus on the league, can't they?
Yeah, it's done now. You have to just think, right, well, next mission statement is get into Europe, whatever form it is, like the money is there. I'm very dangerous when I predict Stuttgart wins because I hate to do it. But you'd like to think that they can do it. I might say a 2-1 away win, but I think tight game. Just my internet's going. Sorry, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah, we're back now. Yeah, it's back. Yeah, sorry about that, viewers. I don't know if it's my internet or yours, Rory. It's yeah. Are you there?
I am back. I think I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, you're back. Yeah. There you go.
Apologies for the Sheffield signal letting me down.
Don't worry about it.
Right. So where were we? Right, we're moving on from Stuttgart, Bochum. We've locked in your score, so it's back on to me. Werder Bremen, Frankfurt. Tricky one for Frankfurt, but they're going well. They'll be feeling really good about themselves. The way that they really took apart Stuttgart in a 1-0 thrashing, if there is ever a 1-0 thrashing. So they'll have great belief that they can unlock this Werder Bremen defense. Bremen have been better on the road. They struggled at home. It's a very tricky game for them. Just can't quite, pin my hat exactly where I think Bremen are right now at, form wise and as a team. They'll, be disappointed that they've dropped off so much this year and want to finish positively, but I think it'll be tricky for them against Frankfurt. And I would go for a 2-1 away win. Mark, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it should be a decent top spiel. It's, again, two tradition clubs. Werder are playing a bit better, but it's the home form has just been absolutely woeful this season at times. A lot of their wins have come on the road. And I think Frankfurt have really hit it again in recent times. I've been really impressed with them for about the last month or so now. And as I mentioned on the Monday show, I think they've overcome now the loss of Marmouche, and Ekitike has well and truly stepped into the big man's shoes. And he's been brilliant the last 3-4 games. He really has. So I feel as though against a struggling badly Werder defence, because they are quite a poor defensive side at the minute, I feel as though Frankfurt will score goals in this one, actually. And I think they'll get I'm going to go goals here. I'm going to go for a 4-2 away win for Frankfurt. I just think we could see goals here. And I think there should have been a lot more goals last week in the top spiel. And I think they'll have worked on that finishing a little bit more against a weaker Bremen side. And I think they will get goals. But also Bremen, they've got a few strikers on form as well. Duck scored a good goal last week. So they should have a goal or two in them as well. So 4-2 to the Eintracht. So, yeah, moving on to an interesting-looking game as well, by the way. Pauli against Gladbach. I'm quite looking forward to this one on Sunday afternoon. I think Pauli, again, they've not played badly all season. I feel as though the performances have been consistent, but you can't really ask for much more than that, can you? They've not been rolled over, really, by many teams at all. And the goal difference, which is only -5-6 or so, which tells you the whole story about the fact that they basically, I can't remember any time they've been thrashed this season. But they're coming up against one of the form teams of the entire league at the minute, and a team that are really, really starting to click into gear in Gladbach. And I think both defensively and offensively, they're looking really strong, Gladbach, at the minute. And they'll look at this fixture and really fancy going away from home and winning this one, especially considering their away form has been so good recently as well. And unfortunately for Pauli, they still have this dreadful record of scoring at home. Like, they just don't score goals at home. Obviously, only one game this season they've scored more than once at home, and that was against Kiel, which is not good. And there's been, I think, at least 9-10 games at home when they've not scored at all. So, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to get a goal here against a strong Gladbach team. So I've gone for a 2-0 away win here. Rory, what are you going for?
Yeah, I mean, with Kleindienst back as well, is he should be back because he was only serving a 1-match suspension, I think, wasn't he? Because he just got
just a 1 match.
Yeah, 1 match, wasn't it? So he'll be back. Alassane Plea is having a nice turn of form. Honorat was back. They've got options off the bench as well. The midfield is operating well. They've got loads to play for, Gladbach, for this, this tail end of the Bundesliga season. I can very much get on board with an away win. Pauli still not playing badly by any sense of the imagination, but still, I'm back in the away side. I will say 3-0. I'll say for this one, and some nice comments coming in here. Left Footed saying hard games to determine the scores this week. Maybe historical trends tail the tale. Can't see many updates. Completely agree. It's pretty much aligning up with some of the results that we're going with, Pal. Borussia feel in form of late, can see them getting a win there. And Saad checking in as well. Hope you're doing well. Gladbach to win 1-0 and play out to score. Maybe he will, mate. He's on a bit of a run right now. Might be worth a shot for fantasy teams as well. Who knows? Which we'll cover tomorrow morning, of course, with myself and Runa. We'll lock in. What did you say, Mark? 2-0, did you?
2-0.
2-0. We'll lock that in. And then to the final game of match week 28 is Union Berlin versus Wolfsburg. And really, who do you say who's the favourite in this one? Wolfsburg have just completely disappeared in these last 4 or 5 games, haven't they? It's obviously a learning for Ralph Hasenhüttl. Some of the the attacking players and combinations just haven't worked. That certain players haven't nailed down their places. Aside from maybe someone like Amura. I can't remember if he played or not last week, though.
No, he didn't. I think he missed the game, so they'll have to hope he's back this week.
Yeah, exactly. So, they'll absolutely, they have the ability to score goals and trouble an Union defence that is absolutely resolute right now. They've also turned a bit of a corner. They'll look to break on the Wolves and just be really solid. That back line has done really well, as we mentioned on Monday's pod. So I kind of, misery loves company, and I think the misery maybe continues for Wolfsburg. So I will say a 2-1 home win for Union Berlin. What do you reckon?
Yeah, this was one of the hardest ones to tip for me this week because, as you say, normally, probably a month ago, you'd have said a comfortable Wolfsburg win because obviously they've been so good away from home as well for long periods. But, I mean, some of the results that they've not even had particularly tough fixtures in many ways. That's the worrying thing for them. They've drawn against Bochum, they lost against Heidenheim. Okay, the game I was at when they played Augsburg, teams just can't create against Augsburg at the minute. So that is a really tough fixture. But still, this will be a similar kind of game because Union are back a little bit at the moment. They are really starting to put performances together. 7 points from Frankfurt and Freiburg away and Bayern at home. You'd take that every day of the week. I think every team in the league would take a record like that. So they come in form. They've got the likes of Hollerbach really playing well. Illich has impressed me. And Juranovic as well has really stood out for me at the minute. And we're starting to see maybe the start of kind of Baumgart's team taking shape at the minute. But I agree with you, Rory. I think they will get the win here. And I think it's going to be a 2-1 home win for the Eisen Union.
There we go. Lovely stuff. So if then, let's just have a quick little look at the table before we finish up for tonight. If we're right with all our predictions, which we aren't often, but it's always nice to think, then we might have a 4-point gap in the title race with Frankfurt and Mainz consolidating their top 4 spots, but Gladbach not far behind. And then, if we scroll a little bit further down, we will see, bottom 3 as you were. Pauli still not going anywhere, and even Hoffenheim still perhaps in the mix as well. So lovely stuff. Thank you everyone who's got involved tonight. It's been some nice interaction. Lovely to see familiar faces tuning in and getting excited about the next match week ahead. So Mark, you can do the honors and bring tonight's show to a close.
Yeah, so if you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to, check out our social media at Over the Bar FB and our Instagram at Over the Bar FB as well. So yeah, as we said, I am in England and have been attending games as well. I've already attended my first one and potentially another couple planned as well over my time here. So yeah, and the games never stop, do they? But yeah, check out our Instagram so you can see what we're up to and things like that. Aside from that, guys, I guess don't forget to join Runa and Rory tomorrow morning as well for the fantasy show, and we'll be back for the podcast on Monday evening. So thanks a lot, guys, and see you then. Bye-bye.
Cheers all.